Hello everyone, welcome to Chelsea Sport Focus. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of breaking news. Let's get started.
Tyrique. George's Chelsea chapter may already be nearing its end, and his first words as an Everton player have only intensified that feeling. The winger has officially joined the Toffees on loan, a deal that includes an option to buy, and it is a clause that could quietly close the door on any long-term future at Stamford Bridge. For Chelsea supporters, this move feels less like a temporary development loan and more like a potential goodbye. George leaves Chelsea with an impressive but frustrating set of numbers behind him. Across all senior competitions, he made just 11 appearances, yet still managed 3 goals and 1 assist. That works out to a goal contribution every 123 minutes, an efficiency rate that many established attackers would envy. Despite that productivity, minutes were hard to come by, and as the season wore on, the lack of trust clearly began to weigh on the young attacker. The January transfer window offered George a way out. He was far from short of admirers, with heavyweight names such as Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte both registering interest. That level of attention underlined how highly he is rated outside Chelsea's walls. In the end, however, George opted for Everton, a club he believes offers both opportunity and appreciation for his style of play. Speaking in his first interview after completing the move, George praised Everton's fan base in glowing terms, highlighting their passion and demand for effort. He spoke about wanting to show hard work, to excite supporters, and to impress. On the surface, it sounded like a standard new signing message, but between the lines, many Chelsea fans sensed something more. For a player who felt overlooked despite strong performances, the emphasis on effort and appreciation landed as a subtle but pointed contrast to his experience in West London. That contrast is sharpened by recent comments from Chelsea head coach Liam Rosenior. Only weeks ago, Rosenior insisted publicly that his team selections are based purely on what players show in training rather than their transfer fees. He even described George's training attitude as top class. Yet despite those compliments, George never featured under the new manager, a reality that makes his frustration easier to understand. From George's perspective, the promise to Everton supporters reads as a quiet indictment of Chelsea's structure. It suggests he felt his pathway was blocked, not by application or output, but by a hierarchy driven by big-name signings and market value. Chelsea's attack is stacked with expensive talent, including Estevão Willian, Alejandro Garnacho, Pedro Neto, and Jamie Gittens, all of whom arrived for significant fees and naturally command attention. In that context, George's path was always going to be difficult. Even with Lee Carsley known to be a strong admirer of his ability, opportunities at Chelsea remained limited. The club's strategy of collecting elite young talent from across the globe has created fierce internal competition. But it has also left some homegrown or academy-linked players feeling squeezed out before they can truly establish themselves. Everton, by contrast, represent a different kind of challenge. They are a club craving energy, work rate and directness, and George believes those qualities align perfectly with his game. Regular minutes on Merseyside would not only allow him to showcase his talent, but also put Chelsea in a difficult position if the option to buy is triggered. A strong loan spell could quickly turn into a permanent exit. For Chelsea fans, this move raises uncomfortable questions. How does a player with George's efficiency fail to earn trust? At what point does squad depth turn into stagnation for promising attackers? And how many more talents will need to leave before those questions are properly answered? For Tyrique George, though, the focus is simple. This is a chance to reset, to feel valued, and to prove that his frustration was justified. If he delivers at Everton, his comments will look less like bitterness and more like quiet confidence. If he struggles, Chelsea's decision-makers will feel vindicated. Either way, his first words as an Everton player have ensured one thing: this loan will not pass quietly, and every performance will be viewed through the lens of what Chelsea may have let slip. Axel Disasi has finally spoken out on his Chelsea exile after completing a late deadline day loan move to West Ham United, drawing a clear line under what has been a frustrating and largely forgotten period of his Stamford Bridge career. The French defender's switch, confirmed late on Monday night, marked the final exit from what many fans had labelled Chelsea's bomb squad as the January window slammed shut. Disasi's situation had been unresolved for months. After returning to Chelsea following his loan spell at Aston Villa, he found himself completely frozen out during the first half of the season. Despite costing the Blues a hefty £39 million when he arrived from Monaco in the summer of 2023, the centre-back was left out of the Premier League squad and rarely mentioned in first-team discussions. For a player entering what should be his prime years, the lack of minutes was a damaging blow. There was a brief hint of a reprieve earlier in the window. Liam Rosenior brought Disasi back into first-team training after Raheem Sterling's contract situation was resolved, sparking speculation that the defender might yet be reintegrated. However, it quickly became clear that opportunities would remain scarce, and Disasi ultimately chose to seek regular football elsewhere rather than wait on the fringes. This loan to West Ham is the second temporary departure of his Chelsea career, following his move to Aston Villa last year. That spell offered mixed returns. While he played regularly, he failed to convince Villa's hierarchy to make the move permanent, leaving his long-term future uncertain once again. Now at West Ham, Disasi sees another chance to rebuild his reputation and remind the Premier League of his qualities. Speaking to West Ham's official website, Disasi addressed his Chelsea situation head-on, offering a rare glimpse into his mindset after months of silence. He made it clear that his priority is simply to play football again. He admitted the past few months had been difficult, acknowledging that everyone was aware of his circumstances, but stressed that his focus is now on getting back onto the pitch, feeling the rhythm of competitive matches, and helping his new club. Disasi also revealed that feeling genuinely wanted was a decisive factor in his move. He spoke positively about conversations with West Ham staff and players, describing the transfer as an exciting challenge. Crucially, he recognised the size of the task ahead, admitting the club is not currently where it should be, a comment that underlines both West Ham's struggles and his own motivation to make an immediate impact. From a footballing perspective, the timing could work perfectly in his favour. West Ham's defence has been under intense scrutiny this season, with costly errors becoming a recurring theme. Big money signing Max Kilman has struggled to justify his £40 million price tag, while Jean-Claire Todibo is facing a suspension after being sent off for violent conduct against Chelsea at the weekend. Those circumstances all but guarantee Disasi significant game time straight away. His debut could come in a pressure-packed environment. West Ham travel to Burnley this weekend in what is shaping up to be a crucial relegation battle. Nuno Espirito Santo's side currently sit 18th, and the clash against Scott Parker's Burnley carries huge consequences for both clubs. Thrown straight into the fire, Disasi will have